So, ladies and gentlemen, this guy, Daniel Blue, he's a legend, doing amazing things for people with their finances, giving them freedom, giving them options. And if you want to be empowered in your financial education and be in your GPS, stick around. And I just want to say thank you for being here. Thank you for choosing to be and become your greatest possible self by tuning in to the podcast, to the Facebook Live, wherever you're watching this, replay, YouTube, etc. However you're getting this, keep showing up. Next up is going to be the iTunes review of the week. This week it's by M. Davis777. Very inspirational and educational. This is the podcast to listen to if you're looking for both inspiration and education on a variety of topics to help you to be the best you can be. Thank you, M. Davis. If you want a chance to get shouted out on a future 12-hour live stream, go to beyourgps.com/iTunes or search Greatest Possible Self on the Apple Podcast Store. Give us a review. Let us know what you love, what you want to see more of, how we can improve the show for you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm going to introduce Daniel in just a sec. Grab a piece of paper, grab a pen, be ready to take notes. This could be the information, the one idea, the one new strategy, the one thing that your financial advisor didn't teach you that transforms everything for you. So stick around all the way through to the end. Daniel Blue owns a company called Quest Education. This company is a 7-figure company that helps entrepreneurs with their finances so they can focus even more on their business. And that is just the tip of the iceberg. Daniel, we're bringing the heat, man. We're already lit up in here. You got a sunset. It's lit behind you. It's lit right here. Let's do this, man.
I love it, man. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be on your podcast, man. I love what you're doing with the message you're spreading.
Thank you, man. Thank you. We're going to dive right into the theme of today, which is the patterns of transformation. What does that mean for you, Daniel? Just like in your perspective, what does patterns of transformation mean?
I mean, every day we're hopefully getting better, right? Every day we're doing one thing more than we did yesterday or one thing different, and we're changing, right? I'm 30 years old. I'm nowhere near the person I was when I was 25, when I was 20 years old. So we're constantly transforming and evolving, and hopefully it's for the better.
Yeah, dude, I love it. I love it, man. Every day is another opportunity to grow, to become the best version of ourselves, man. And you're doing that in big ways for yourself, for your company, for your team, as well as your clients. Tell us a little bit more about what you do with Quest Education, man.
Yeah, we in a nutshell, we help people that have a 401k or an IRA access those dollars without paying penalties and taxes. I was talking to a client just the other day, and they had credit card debt. They were paying about 20% in interest on almost $40,000 in credit card debt.
Wow.
And they had this IRA, this retirement account, and they wanted to be able to access the money without paying the penalties and taxes, because they were thinking, well, shoot, my IRA is only making me 10 or 12% a year. I got this credit card debt that's keeping me up at night. I'm losing 20%. Right. So we were able to show that client how they could take the money out of their retirement account with no penalties, no taxes, and pay off the credit card debt and sleep better at night. So once people understand that they can actually access money that they thought was locked up, or they thought if they touched they'd get nailed in penalties and taxes, and once they realize they can access that money, they can use the money however they want. Maybe start that business they've always wanted to set up, or invest in real estate. Just really thinking outside the box besides just stocks and mutual funds.
Yeah. It's like there's so many different ways to achieve our financial goals. It's just like, what's the one that is going to work for us? What's the one that's going to make the difference for us? And so you're giving people options, man. I love that. Let's go back into your journey. How did you get into finance? How did you get into creating Quest Education, man?
Yeah, so for me, I got involved in sales about 12 years ago. I was selling real estate coaching, and I did that for about 7 years, and I really liked it. I just plateaued. I hit a ceiling where I wanted something new. And when I was in the real estate industry, I'd hear about the word self-directed retirement accounts, and that intrigued me because I always thought retirement accounts were for stocks and mutual funds. I didn't know that you could use your retirement to invest into properties, and flip houses, and commercial and residential rentals and things of that nature. So that was something that was planted in my head years ago, and I started to really run with it. I shifted industries from selling real estate coaching to getting into the self-directed space about 6-7 years ago. And I started with the company where I was just a W-2 employee, just dialing and smiling. Started at the bottom of the totem pole, right? We all have to start somewhere, right?
Yeah.
So for me, I was able to start from the bottom and eventually start moving up. Going from appointment setter, cold calling people to closing deals to running a sales team to, doing sales and operations, and then, moving my way up to, eventually becoming an owner.
Dude, dang. So okay, so you said you originally started from the bottom, so to speak, just making calls, and then you moved up to being the owner. Like, did you take over the company because the person didn't want to run it anymore, or like how does like a change of ownership? I would say oftentimes that doesn't happen. How did it happen for you, man?
Yeah, I really think it's what you want, right? You have to
Yeah.
be super, super intentional on what you want. I'll give you a story. When I first started selling real estate coaching when I was 18, 19 years old, I always knew I wanted to be a closer, right? But they don't just give you appointments and you start closing deals right away, right? Like
Right.
you got to be a really, really good cold caller. You got to be a really, really good appointment setter. And then you can get some of the leftovers, right?
Mm,
So, for me, I really wanted to have my own sales team.
mm,
So every freaking Monday morning, I'd be in my manager's office and I'd be like, dude, what do I got to do to be a closer?
mm,
And then he'd tell me what I have to do to be a closer. And once I became a closer, I'm like, hey, dude, what do I got to do to be a sales, run my own sales team, have my own team?
mm.
And he always gave me metrics and things that I had to do to get there. So
Wow.
I was just super, super intentional about what I wanted from the very beginning. I knew I
Mhm.
wanted to be a closer, to have a sales team. So eventually I had that. And then, I've always been someone that has been able to set some kind of money aside. And I'll attribute this to my wife. She's Filipino, so she's very conservative. So she really taught me how to not be a terrible spender. So I was able to just set money aside and
Wow.
build my credit over the years because I knew I wanted to invest into a company. I knew I wanted to start a company in some way, shape, or form. So, for everyone out there that, wants to take that leap from W-2 to, LLC to owning a company,
Mhm.
just make sure you have some money set aside. Make sure you have really good credit because
Yeah.
for me, it took, using credit cards to start the business, using
Yeah.
lines of credit, draining my savings account, right? I mean, it takes money to get things going. So, I was able to just get my ducks in a row and then surround myself with the right people, have some mentors along the way that, could show me the ropes as well.
Yeah, that's powerful, man. In terms of like the industry knowledge, sounds like you're doing real estate coaching, and then you grew in your ability to serve the clients in being able to direct their IRA or whatever investment account that they had, whatever retirement account that they had. Like, what was that growth like? What was learning the field knowledge, the industry knowledge like for you?
Yeah, I mean, I went from, selling over the phone, selling 5,000, 10,000, $20,000 packages over the phone, right?
Mhm.
It's getting them closed down on the phone and getting a credit card or, a wire or a debit card for the transaction. So, I learned the strategies and closing people and asking questions and navigating phone calls,
Mhm.
right? And then that arena is a lot different than the finance world where it's a lot more strategic. You've got to have some savviness and really making sure that you are explaining things the right way. It's not
Yeah.
high pressure one call close. It's,
Yeah.
hey, let's ask questions. Let's understand where you are as a business owner or wanting to become an entrepreneur, and
Mhm.
what's your setup look like now, and how can a self-directed account help you. So for me, it really was just being committed to learning the differences between IRAs and 401ks and promissory notes and REITs and mutual funds. And not that we sell these investments, but it's important to know annuities and
Sure.
retirement accounts and Roth IRA and traditional IRA, just so then that way we can provide as much value as we can. So a lot of it was just self, and then just being around, just learning from them too.
Yeah, man, dude, that's awesome. I hear you had to understand what's available in the marketplace. You have to understand the map, the territory that people could go, and then you can give them the best encouragement or empowerment or coaching or advice to help them get there. Right, whatever the strategy is for them that's going to fulfill their goals, their needs, their wants, their desires. You still there, Daniel? Oh, you cut out for a second.
Yeah, I lost you there for. Yeah, I lost you.
Yeah, I was saying to understand the map, the territory, to know like what is available, but then you get
Yeah.
to know each client's individual needs for their business, for their strategy, for their skills, their strengths, and then help them fulfill on their dream, their goals through that custom kind of guidance, because you know like what's available for them. And while you don't necessarily specialize in everything, you can help them take those steps so that they can be successful.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the biggest place that we always come from is, at the end of the day, client, this is your money. No one cares about your money more than you do, right? Not your CPA, not your financial advisor over at Fidelity. Most financial companies are there to just push product. They're there to
Yeah.
just shove a stock or a mutual fund down your throat and just make a commission. And for us, we don't sell investments. We sell the vehicle, right? Because as an entrepreneur, if you are 1099, if you have an LLC, if you have a side hustle, if you're going to start a business, there's IRS approved retirement accounts that are for entrepreneurs that really, really open up the doors for you financially, that give you a lot of benefits. And this is just not talked about. People are not talking about this. And a lot of it has to come down to one, they don't know about it. And two, it's not making the money. Fidelity and Vanguard and these big financial companies, they don't make money off these accounts that I'm talking about. They'd much rather just stick your money in an IRA and a mutual fund and just keep making fees off of you.
Mhm. Wow. So, in terms of someone being able to do something with that retirement account without paying the fees on it, like how do they go about that? How do they go about working with you or doing that process?
Yeah, so there's an IRS approved retirement account. It's called a solo 401k.
Okay.
And a solo 401k is a retirement account that allows you to withdraw money out of that account with no penalties and no taxes.
Mm.
And you can use that money however you want. If you want to use it like my client did, paying off credit card debt, or we had a client that used the money in their solo 401k to start a turf business. Like if you go to our website, yourquest.com, there's a testimonial video there. His name is Steve, and Steve lives out in San Diego, and he quit his W-2 day job to start a turf business. And he used the money in his retirement account to start this turf business.
Hmm.
So you could use the money to start that business, or to use the money as working capital for your existing business. Maybe you need some money for marketing, or for the ability to scale, or maybe you want to use the money to invest in real estate. You could use the money to invest in real estate, or your buddy's business, just other investments beyond traditional stocks and mutual funds.
Yeah. And you said that y- other investment companies, they might try to sell you a specific product, so to speak, or a specific type of investment, but you guys are the vehicle to get to where business owners want to go, where they want to go. Can you explain that a little bit more? A little bit like what's the difference?
Yeah, so look at it like this. The vehicle is the 401k, the IRA, right?
Hmm.
The gas is needed to make that vehicle go, right?
Right.
Most companies are selling the gas.
Mm.
They're just selling whatever investment's going to generally make them the most money, or they're the financial company they work for is going to have a certain menu of products that just benefit that company the most, right? So
Mm.
there's going to be certain gases that just make more sense to get pitched, right? So they're leading with the investment, they're leading with the gas,
Mm.
and we lead with the vehicle. And once we help the client understand, hey, this vehicle is self-directed, you can
Mm.
invest this money, you can get whatever gas you want in this vehicle. Do you want that gas to be insurance? Do you want it to be real
Mm.
estate? Do you want it to be your own business? Do you want it to
Wow.
be your buddy's solar business that he just started? Right? Do you want to use the money to pay off high interest rate credit card debt?
Mm.
You get to decide that.
Wow. Dude, that's powerful, man. I love it. I love the analogies. I love the different examples. So like what would stop people from making this kind of a switch, or being able to use like a solo 401k? Like what should people be watching out for in doing something like this and making this kind of a transition?
Well, number one, for a solo 401k, you have to have some kind of side hustle, right? As I mentioned earlier, LLC, sole proprietorship, 1099. So you've got to be in that arena of being an entrepreneur in some way, shape, or form. And number two, like, you got to be in that transition of quitting your day job, right?
Mm.
Quitting your job to or starting that side hustle business. So you have to have some kind of business intention. If you have zero business intention, then a solo 401k, isn't going to be something that would work for you.
Mm.
And
Is that like, so what is the mechanism? Is the IRS looking like, hey, does this person have another stream of income that they're attempting to develop that matches one of our criteria, or what is it that would prevent that?
So there just has to be an LLC or a sole proprietorship or
Yeah.
like an S corp or a C corp in the
Got it.
picture. And if there is, then the solo 401k is going to be tied to that entity.
Got it. So it just needs a legal structure, so to speak, to be able to use the solo 401k.
Yeah.
Got it. Got it, man. So that's not, that's not anything crazy. But why would someone, let's say someone just created a corporation, like a shell corporation, something like that, and then they used the solo 401k, linked it to that, but they kept their job. Like, would that just not be the percentage of return on investment wouldn't be as good, or why would someone not do that?
In the sense of, why would they not just be full-time business owner? Or
why would they not just keep that solo 401k and put money into that they can take out of whenever they want and keep their original career? Like, why would they not do that, if that makes sense?
Yeah, they can do that. It's just, it's not something that people are being exposed to, right? They don't know about this. Their CPA isn't going to bring this up at tax time. Their financial advisor isn't going to bring it up when they talk to the client. I mean, very few financials I talk about even bring up a solo 401k. And it's crazy. The solo 401k, it's not like it's some secret brand new retirement account. I mean, this is just a good old fashioned 401k, but it's for entrepreneurs. Wow. And this is an IRS approved plan. So I think, back to your question, the reason why people aren't going to have this set up is just, it's not something that they have even been exposed to. They haven't heard of it.
I love it, man. I love it. I think a lot of people hurt when it comes to paying taxes as well. Like, they're like, is there a better way? How do I not get charged so much in my taxes? Do you have any strategies around that to like reduce or minimize taxes?
Yeah, and that's why I'm another big proponent of the solo 401k, right? So let's just say you got, 100,000 in a retirement account, maybe an IRA or a 401k from an old job. You can convert that money into a solo 401k. So now you've got, let's just say, 100,000 in your solo 401k. Then you can contribute new money into the solo 401k. And why I really love the solo 401k, you can contribute up to $56,000 per year into this plan. You compare that to an IRA. An IRA is probably the most popular retirement account in America. You can only put in about $6,000 a year into the account.
What?
So with the solo 401k, yeah, it's a big difference.
Wow.
With the solo 401k, let's just say you've got $20,000 laying around and you're like, I want to put this into a retirement account so I can get some tax advantages. You can contribute that one of two ways. The first way is you can take that 20,000, put it in your solo 401k and have it be a pre-tax contribution, meaning you're going to put the 20,000 in the solo 401k and it's going to be a tax write-off. You're going to be able to deduct that money against your income. So you're going to pay less taxes that year, right? It's going to be a deduction. It's going to save you a lot of money on your tax return that year. Or you can do a Roth contribution. And the Roth contribution is the opposite of the pre-tax. You're going to pay taxes on the 20,000 that you put into the account, but that money grows tax-free. So you are going to claim that 20,000 as income. You're going to pay taxes on that money year one. But if that 20,000 were to grow to 100,000 over year after year after year, over the long run, that's all tax-free, right? That's all tax-free growth. So when you put money into the solo 401k, you get that flexibility. It's like, one, okay, do I want to get the tax write-off up front year one, and then it's tax deferred and I'll pay the taxes down the road? Or two, I don't want to pay the taxes down the road. I want to pay the taxes on the seed, and then that harvest is tax-free. So that's why I love the solo 401k, because, it's going to give you a lot of tax benefits, because the money you have in your bank account, there's no tax benefits there unless it's invested in like real estate where you've got depreciation or something like that.
Right. What kind of circumstances would, let's say, like warrant or what deserve if someone's going to pay the pre-tax, like kind of put it as the seed and say, hey, I just want the seed to be in there free and clear, I could do whatever I want with it later, versus paying taxes on the when I draw it out later on in 20 years or whatever it might be. What kind of circumstances have you seen that would change that?
So like the $20,000 contribution to the pre-tax bucket where I put the money in the account, I get the write-off that year, it's a deduction, and then it grows tax deferred. So then when I pull the money out down when I retire and I need it for income and I pull it out, I'll pay taxes. That version, I see people do that where it's like they're scrambling for write-offs, right?
Mm.
Maybe they are at an income threshold where it's like, man, they wrote off so much, but they still are at a high income bracket. So they're like, shoot, Mr. CPA, I need some more write-offs. Like, what you got for me? Right. So then putting in $20,000 into their solo 401k as a pre-tax contribution where they get to deduct that against their income, that might be the difference between them at a 25% income tax bracket or a 20%, right? So that might be huge in terms of the actual savings, right? Maybe they're at an $80,000 tax bracket. So if they can put 20, it brings them down to 60. And they're like, heck yeah, that's what I was looking for, right? Me personally, I like the alternative, the Roth contribution, because I'm going to pay the taxes on that money now. I'll pay the taxes this year because we are at ultra low tax rates right now, right? Historically, if you look at like the 1960s, 1970s, the tax bracket, they were rocking like 70, 80, 90% tax bracket is the highest income. Right now we're, I think, like 38%, right? So it might seem high right now, but we are rocking low tax rates historically speaking. So I just look at the future, and I don't have a crystal ball here, but I just feel like over the long run down the road, they're going to raise taxes because there's just a lack of revenue. And you just look at Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid, there's a lot of our tax money that's going out to a lot of different areas that our government has to fund. So I'm thinking we're just going to have to raise taxes to compensate for some of this at some point in time. So long story short, I'd rather pay taxes on the money now, lock in that low tax rate. So in that way, 10, 15, 20 years down the road, if they jack up the tax rate, I'm okay with that because I locked in at a low tax rate in 2020.
Yeah, I love it. I love it, Daniel. I think this is awesome. I love how you are like really looking into the future, looking at what is going to happen, what is going to come, looking at the signs, like the different things that are happening. It's like making effective predictions, right? We get to predict at some level, make hypotheses, think about what is going to be happening in the future so we can make intelligent investments. Is that something that, like that futuristic thinking, is that something you've seen in you for a long time now, or did it develop through being in Quest and running that organization?
I really think it comes down to, just looking at patterns and trends. And when you just look at patterns and trends and what's happened in the past, that's not a clear indication of what can happen in the future by any way, shape, or form. The last time that there was a recession in, 2008, 2009, that some of the top economists, they didn't predict a recession, right? So like, I think historically people are bad, and I'm not saying I'm good by any means, but us as human beings, we're historically not good at predicting things, right? So especially when it comes to the financial world. So I just do my best to look at the situation now and what can make certain things go forwards or go backwards. And what are some of the things that are going to have a huge impact on what I'm looking at and see, where I can make some kind of educated guess, some kind of educated decision.
Yeah, I love it, man. I know you're super into personal development too, Daniel. Tell us more about how that is why did you make a commitment to grow yourself personally, be involved in like masterminds, read books, all these awesome things, go to events, and how has that impacted your life?
Yeah, so for me, I really stopped reading books after high school. I dropped out of college and went into sales, and really just found my career path in sales. So I just gave up reading after high school, and I liked to read. It just wasn't something that was important to me.
Yeah.
And things really changed for me when I went to 10X Cardone's event a couple years in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
So as we're doing this episode right now, we've got 10X coming up in next month in Vegas. So
Yep.
2 years will this month will be 2 years that I've been since I really got involved into personal development. And the reason why I'm bringing this story up is because at the 10X event 2 years ago, I got to hear Ed Milet and Andy Frisella
Mm-hmm.
on stage, and Ed Milet's message was chasing a better you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, are you chasing a better version of yourself? Are you focusing on being a better dad, better leader, better boss? And that really hit home for me. I've got a 10-year-old daughter, and I'm like, shoot, man, like, do I have intentions on being a better dad? Like, yeah, I want to be a better dad, but like, am I constantly doing that every single day? And then, Andy Frisella, he talked about core values as a company, having core values as a person and as an owner of a company. And at that time, we didn't have a map or a layout of core values. We talked about it, but it wasn't something that was set in stone. So those two speakers really resonated with me, and I just started listening to Ed and Andy, and they formed a mastermind that I joined a couple years ago, Arate. And then just listening to those guys, they always stress, leaders are readers, right? So just been doing my best to read, and at the same time, I'm just learning like all of the greats, all the leaders, the top performers, whether they're athletes or past presidents, the top of the top, they're constantly reading. And so I just want to do something to further develop myself. I didn't graduate college, so it's like, okay, I got to get an education somewhere. And so I definitely wish I would have gotten into the self-development arena a lot sooner, but better late than never.
You're 30 years old, man. It's like you got your whole life ahead of you. It is prime time, man. And I love it. And you are also like a hard worker and got shit done before, like you were showing up, you were making sales, you were moving up the ranks, you were being the best version of yourself. There just may have been some unconscious things, blind spots, things that you didn't know how to like address or really shift. And when you started seeing personal development and these mentors who can like inspire you to be the better version of you, you really dig deeper into seeing like, who can I become? How can I be the best father? How can I be the best husband? How can I be the best leader, the best community member, whatever it might be, man? So it's awesome. Kudos to you for finding it when you did.
Yeah, it is pretty cool to see the development in podcasts, right? That wasn't a big thing. I didn't listen to my first podcast until after I heard Ed and Andy speak at 10X, and I looked them up, and I'm like, oh, what's a podcast? I was not even something I even knew existed. So I'm so grateful to live in a time where all this information is so accessible, right? We got podcasts, we got audio. I mean, so it's a great time to be alive and to be able to draw different mindsets and different levels of thinking from different people. And I played sports my whole life, so it was an easy analogy for me. It's like, dude, even Tiger Woods had a coach, even Michael Jordan had a coach. So if the best of the best have coaches, like why shouldn't you have, some kind of mentorship, some kind of coaching?
I love it, Daniel. What is the legacy you want to be leaving your wife and your daughter?
That was something I really have been thinking about extra hard with Kobe Bryant dying. That really hit home for me. I grew up watching Kobe, and it hit especially home for me because he has a 13-year-old daughter and I've got a 10-year-old daughter. So, I was really thinking about, geez, like, okay, it's that was really emotional for me. And so to answer your question, I mean, really for my daughter, I just want her to be able to see the potential in herself and what she can do, right? Like, we live in a day and age, and respect to you for going to college and getting a badass degree. And because I couldn't do that. We live in a day and age where like you don't have to have a degree. I wish I got a degree. Like if I could go back in time, I would have got one. But like she doesn't have to get a degree to become successful. She wants to become a veterinarian, right? She loves animals. So I've just been helping her see that she can have her own shop, right? She's going to have to go to school to get, some credentials, but like she could run her own business if that's what she wants, right? I definitely don't want to push her to do what I'm doing and be an entrepreneur if that's not what she wants. But
Mm.
I just want her, the legacy is, I just want her to see that the sky's the limit, and you don't have to listen to society, in terms of where they want to put you. You got the ability to do what you want to do when you want to do it. It's all on you.
Yeah. I love it. I love it, man. I think I hear you just want her to be happy doing what she's doing, and you want her to be successful in her version, her definition of what success is, and she gets to create that. I'm always curious, how do you, in your perspective, how do you balance saying, I know you, like, this will serve you if you do this, if you take this on, if you learn these money management habits, if you read a personal development book a month, like, these kinds of things, seeing, being the leader, right, and standing for these values of growth, values of self-education. How do you draw the line between, teaching her entrepreneurship, giving her a lemonade stand, saying go give it a shot, see what happens, and letting her discover her own path?
I was actually having a conversation with her the other day about Girl Scouts, and she's just like, "Dad, I don't want to do it." And I'm like, "Look, there's a lot of things that you don't want to do, but like you're gonna do it." And we ended up having a really good conversation because like what I was stressing to her is like you got to try. Like life's about just like taking action,
Hmm.
and if you are just on the sidelines not taking action, like you are missing out.
Yeah.
So if you try something and you don't like it and it doesn't work, then hey, I mean, at least you can say that you tried it.
Yeah.
Like I always try to just draw a lot of parallels to sports because I think
Mhm.
sports has a lot of life similarities, right? Like failure and teamwork and camaraderie
Yeah.
and learning how to lose and win, learning how to, listen to your coaches and doing what you got to do what you've been told and
Yeah.
respect, and it goes on and on and on.
Yeah.
So like you just got to try different sports. Like, okay, if you don't like baseball, let's try soccer. You don't like soccer, let's try gymnastics. If you don't like gymnastics, and play a violin. If you don't like the violin, let's try the piano. Like that's what I try to have her do is just try a bunch of stuff. And like for me, I'm selfish in the sense of I'd love for her to play basketball or soccer because that's what I played, but
Yes.
that's not her gig. She doesn't
Right.
like it. So I'm not forcing her to do that. I had her try it out. She didn't like it. All right, cool. Like let's find something that you do like, because I do
Mm.
feel like you gotta get uncomfortable. And there's a lot of times where you're uncomfortable with something and you don't like it initially, but then when you get done doing it, you're like, dude, that felt great. I'm glad I did it. And there's been a few of those aha moments for her where she's like, she's not telling me, but I know she's thankful that I made her do it.
Mm. I love it. I love it, man. That's great. Great response. What are some of the core values at Quest that you put in place, and like how do you see those shining through, living through your team and what you guys do?
Yeah, so for us, they're pretty simple. One of them is grow, right?
Mm.
Like we got to be students of the game. So obviously we have to be ahead of the curve with industry knowledge and some things changing in the retirement account world, and things changing in the financial world. And we're a service-based business. We are a human-based business. So
Yeah.
we got to be willing to grow as humans. Respect, that's another big one for us.
Oh
We got
yeah.
to be willing to respect our coworkers, our clients, our affiliates, and then respect time, respect ourselves, right? So respect is just huge all the way around. Synergy is another one of our core values.
Mm.
There's a lot of crossover and a lot of different departments within our company and a lot of moving parts with our clients and helping them out in different capacities. So
Mm.
just having good synergy, having good teamwork, having good collaboration is just super, super huge. So that's a big one. And then owning it, right? Like people are not perfect. Right? We are going to drop the ball. We are going to make mistakes. So, being willing to own it is super, super huge, and having that accountability. So,
Mm.
for us, it was really, really good to just have these core values that we can have in place, hold each other accountable, and really just live up to these core values, and live by example.
Yeah, I got an opportunity to come by your office the other day, man, and I noticed like people there seem pretty happy, pretty grateful to be there from the brief interactions I have with them. What do you feel it is about the way you lead or your culture that has people like want to show up and do their best?
No, I think a lot of it has to do is like they have to see the vision,
Mm,
right? They have to see where you're wanting to go as a company.
yeah.
Um, I read a book called Traction, like a couple years ago, a year and a half, 2 years ago,
Mhm.
and that was a really, really big book for me because it helped me lay out a vision for my company as far as where we want to take things and just making sure that people are rowing the boat at the same time
Yeah.
because every company out there it's a boat, right? Like
Yeah.
that boat that you're on, there's going to be days where like the water is rough, right? That day was just a crappy day, and it was rough. But then there's going to be days where it's smooth sailing, right? It's sunshine. There's no waves, no rain. Like it's easy breezy. So you got to be rowing the boat at the same time, and people have to know like where they're rowing to and why they're rowing, what their role is, and just they got to buy into it. I'm gonna keep going back to sports because it's my parallel. Like the coach has to make sure the team is bought in, right? If you have one or two people that aren't bought in, then it's a cancer. It's going to affect the rest of the team. So just making sure that I spend some one-on-one time with everybody and
Yeah.
knowing how people are doing and how I can help, and just making sure that I'm leading by example and leading from the front and having people see an opportunity where they can grow and move up and be able to buy into that long-term vision.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. What do you think it is about your team that has your clients want to keep working with you and be with you guys?
So the common problem I've heard, the biggest issue I've seen with clients over the years is I never talk to my financial advisor. Like they
Mm,
only call me when they want to invest my money. Like I've got this retirement account, but no one talks to me about it. Like
wow.
that's the biggest thing I've seen is people are just looked at as a number. And think about it, it makes sense, right? Like these big financial companies, they're managing trillions of dollars. They're huge. Like really they are looking at Susie Johnson as just a number, right?
Mm,
They don't really see her as a human being. She's just a number.
yeah.
So they're not going to have a lot of touching points with these people. They're not going to have a really good relationship. So
Mhm.
for us, we're nimble enough where we can have super, super solid interaction with these people and go above and beyond. One of our core values is, and the last one is the quest way.
Mm,
The quest way for us is just really like going the extra mile, going above and beyond for these people where, whether it's answering that phone and calling them back at 6 or 7 o'clock at night or on a
mm,
weekend or helping them with paperwork where they never got that kind of help before, or just helping them with the problem that doesn't really have anything to do with us, right? So it's just really, really looking at these people as not just a number, but as a client that we really care a lot about,
mm.
and we do our best to stay in front of these people multiple times a year and just staying ahead of the curve to making sure that they're happy campers and doing our best to just make sure that they are stoked about the service and they're not regretting their decision.
Mm, I love it, man. I hear personalization, like really connecting with them, going the extra mile. I think that's so important, man. That mindset is super powerful. And then also I heard like growth is important. That ownership, taking accountability of our results. Sometimes we're gonna mess up. We're gonna drop the ball. What happens when we do that? Like how do we show up? I think that engenders loyalty from clients more than anything is like saying like when we messed up and then owning it and like saying what can we do to make it right, how can we like wow you even though we did that, what can we do to really leave you with a great ending impression, whatever that might be, whether it's continuing to work with us and have us be your service provider, or if for whatever reason you wanted a different type of vehicle or service provider, how do you move forward through that, man? So I hear that that's really powerful, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I know you're in a long-term relationship. I'm married too, right? Like the first time you go on, your dates, right? The first 3, 6, 9 months, they say that's just the impersonator. It's not really you, right? And then once you lock them down, things change. It's not as high intense, and
Yeah.
you don't care as much, right? That's
Mm,
just the stigma, and I think that's the financial world too. A
mm,
lot of these people get schmoozed into doing some making a financial decision, and then all of a sudden they're kind of just left in the dark. It's not, they're not a priority anymore.
mm,
So we just do our best to just make sure that we are constantly in front of our clients, and it's not just a transaction, and that's the end of the day. It's, connecting with these people on a level where they can really appreciate our service, and they're not just viewed as a number.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. I'm curious, the Quest education, and you mentioned something about a video game being an inspiration, or games being inspiration for that. Tell us a little bit more about where that name came from.
Yeah, I mean, I played a lot of computer games when I was younger, and I
Cool.
feel like I saw the word quest like all over the place. So the word quest is, to me, like, I look at quest as a journey.
Mm,
And because we help people in different ways, right? Maybe it's them starting that new business, or maybe it's them getting capital for their existing business for them to purchase more equipment to scale, or maybe it's them getting involved in real estate, right? Like, they're on a journey, they're on a quest, and some of them are at the beginning of their quest, their
mm,
journey. Some of them are in the middle. Some of them are towards the end. Maybe they're retiring and they're starting a new quest, right? So I just look at the word quest is the same as kind of a journey, and we help people at different points of their quest. So, that was a big reason why I stuck with the name Quest. And, education is just super important. A lot of what we teach, it's not like you need it, you're going to get it from getting a PhD. Like, a lot of this is just elementary financial education it's not talked about in
mm,
school, right? Like, if they would just teach some of this stuff, like an LLC or a retirement account or tax deductions or how a mortgage works, a credit score, right? I mean, if they would just teach a lot of this in school, maybe we wouldn't exist, right? But that's the problem that we have, is just
yeah.
people were not taught this at a younger level.
Mm, mm. Yeah, I really I appreciate that your journey is like, hey, we're here because our current society, um, our current ecosystem, whatever, doesn't provide this information. So we're going to provide it for you, right? And so, like, you're solving a need, you're solving a problem, and you're also taking a really personal touch with it as well, being there on the journey for everyone who comes to work with you, everyone who wants to grow their income, grow their investment with you. And I think it's awesome. I love how you support small business owners as well. I'm curious, like, what was the decision that you said, hey, I want to support these small and medium sized businesses to be able to use these finances? Why did you want to work with entrepreneurs and small business owners?
So the IRS has codes, right?
Mm-hmm.
They've got rules where you can and can't do things with your money.
Sure.
And the IRS says, if you are an entrepreneur, if you have a side hustle, you get to play on this side
Mm,
of the playground with retirement accounts. If you are just a W-2, a individual, no side hustle, you're going to play on this other playground. And not that, like, we don't like these people on this other playground. I have always just enjoyed the entrepreneurial journey. Like,
mm,
I always knew I was going to be a business owner one day. It's what I really, really enjoy doing.
wow.
So for me, I can relate to a lot of these business owners, right? And then plus the IRS says that they can play on this playground and work with these retirement accounts. And I just saw a huge problem in the marketplace where it's
Mm,
like, shoot, Bob that owns a food truck, or Susie that has these websites, like, they're not taught about the IRS code. They're not taught about these retirement accounts that are for business owners that the IRS approves. Like, someone's got to teach them. And if it's
mm.
not us, like, who's gonna teach them?
Man. So would you say all entrepreneurial minded people and people with side hustles like this is a potential vehicle for them? Is there any entrepreneurial or side hustle mentality people and business structure people who this wouldn't be a fit for?
If they have W-2 employees other tn themselves,
Mm,
then a solo 401k doesn't fit for them, because
mm,
the IRS says a solo 401k can work for you if you are a business owner with no W-2 employees
mm.
other than you or your spouse.
Got it. Got it. Cool. And then, but you mentioned another one, a Roth. Is that still the same thing, or is that a different set of rules?
No, that's going to be the same thing in the sense of you can have a Roth solo 401k,
Hmm.
which is for small business owners,
Right.
or you can have a Roth IRA.
Yeah.
IRA stands for individual retirement account. Whether you're a business owner, whether you're not a business owner, you can set up an IRA, and that is a vehicle that we do help folks with. I mean, we do have some clients that have no business intentions. They're not an entrepreneur. They don't plan on being one, but the majority of our clients are on this side. They are entrepreneurs.
Yeah, I love it. So how do you continue to grow yourself in the financial industry? Because we talked about you go to masterminds and do personal development, read books and stuff. Like, what do you see as important for educating yourself and educating your team, and you guys growing in the industry? Like, what are you actively doing to make sure you guys keep growing?
I mean, the good thing too about where we live today, like information is at our
It's
fingertips,
abundant. Yeah.
right? So, there's some really good publications that we subscribe to that we get that just gives us really up to date information on any kind of rule changes. So, we're constantly on that. There's certain conferences that are just straight educational, kind of just like CE, continuing education kind of
Mhm.
classes. They're not the fun ones that I like to go, like the
No
mastermind events,
inspiration.
stuff like that, right? Yeah, it's not, but those are some of the events that we go to as well to just make sure that we are on the same page with
Yeah.
the current trends and if any rules have changed.
Yeah. Um, how do you want to impact the Las Vegas community?
For Las Vegas, there's a lot of entrepreneurs out here. I mean, you living out here yourself, you can see, right? Like
Yep.
there's all these new restaurants and just all of these new it's it's really cool to see with our hockey team and a lot of these changes to Raiders. Like I see a lot of change, a lot of good change. So for me, I just look at it as an opportunity where these entrepreneurs, like, do they know the strategies on how to use your credit and build your
Mm,
credit? I did a presentation last week where I talked to a group of entrepreneurs on the importance of credit score and business credit, and what are some things that affect your credit, and ways that you could save money on taxes and retirement accounts, and just fundamental financial strategies that will allow you to keep more money, right? Because in business, we got to make sure we know our credit and how to use it. We got to know the tax game is just huge,
mm,
because no matter what kind of business you have, it's all about what you keep. It's not what you make, it's what you keep. And then you got to know what's the plan as far as
mm.
building long term wealth. So the impact is, geez, I just see a lot of people in this city that just could be exposed to some of these strategies where they may or may not know, and just give people that aha moment where they can learn something new that they didn't learn before. So
Yeah.
I just look at it as this is a lot closer vicinity for me to make an impact versus right now our clients are over the phone. We don't do too much in the city as far as local clients, but I see that changing.
Yeah, it's awesome. I love that you made that distinction. It's not about what you make or just what you make. It's about what you keep. Can you tell us a little bit more about like why that's important?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really I see posts and on Facebook kind of like laughing about it, and I've seen it too. It's like someone says that they made 2 million or 3 million or 10 million in revenue. All
Mm.
right, well, like what was your profit, right? So at the end of the day, you could be doing 2 million a year in revenue and spending $3 million, right?
Mm.
So
Yeah.
what's that really look like?
Mm.
So I think what you keep is going to be based on your expenditures
Mhm.
and really managing cash flow and your P&L. But then also taxes can be a big one, right? Like the taxes can really, really crush your profits. So
Mm.
there's some cool insurance products that can save you some money on taxes. Obviously, I talked about the solo 401k where you can stash up to $56,000 a year, right?
Amazing.
That can help you save some money on taxes. I always tell people really make sure that you're working with a specialized CPA if you're an entrepreneur. A
Mm.
lot of people out there, they're business owners, but they still have, Jackson Hewitt or TurboTax,
Mm.
doing their taxes. And it's just like, man, make sure that you're working with a group of accountants, CPAs that are familiar with entrepreneurs, because the
Yeah.
tax code is constantly changing. And if you still have, your your cousin that's been doing taxes for 30 years and he does everyone else's taxes in your family, maybe it's time to look at someone else, because it's one thing to just have a W-2 job and just get W-2 wage and go to your tax person and say, hey, can you do my taxes? Like, that's easy peasy versus, hey, CPA, I've got this LLC, I've got that LLC, I've got this credit card, I got that credit card, I spent this, it's like, once you go into that arena, it's a lot different, and there's got to be some really good strategy behind it so you can save as much money as you can.
Mm. Dude, you're full of wisdom, Daniel. When people have a conversation with you, I just have a feeling that you're just there asking questions, helping them, guiding them to get to where they want to go to achieve their dreams and goals. Would that be financially or in their business? You got a ton of experience in both of those, man. So I want people to know how they can stay connected with you, and what can they do next, man. How can they have a conversation with you? How can they learn more about what you guys are doing?
Yeah, so a couple things. One, you can go to yourquest.com, Y-O-U-R quest.com. There's a contact us form where you can just enter in some basic information. And at that point, you'd be able to get on the phone with us and we can walk you through, what it would look like as far as working with us. And we just lead with education. Like I mentioned earlier, we don't pitch product and sell investments. So it would really just be asking questions, teaching you about these accounts, really pulling back the curtain and helping you understand how these accounts work. If you like what you hear, then you can become a client. If not, you'll leave those conversations just knowing a lot more than you knew before you spoke with us.
Yeah.
If you want to speak with me personally, the best way would be Facebook. That's where I engage the most. Daniel Blue, last name Blue like the color. I think I'm the only Daniel Blue in Las Vegas. So if you see Daniel Blue in Las Vegas, that's me. And I do my best to post consistently there. And DMing me would be the best way to reach me. That way I can answer any questions and maybe hop on a call.
Love it. I love it, man. So again, they go to yourquest.com, YOURQUEST.com, and Daniel Blue, it's DANIELBLUE. Pretty straightforward. And Daniel, let's wrap it up, man. Let's drive it home what you want people to really get from this conversation and take action on, man. What is it?
Yeah, I mean, if you have a 401k or an IRA, if you've got some kind of retirement account and you'd like to find a way to improve that account and be able to have more control over your own money, it's just going to come down to knowing how all that works and getting the knowledge. And, working with a company like ours can really help you get the knowledge. So in that way you can see some possibilities on making changes financially and maybe start that new business of yours or get capital for your existing business and just really do things in a completely different way that's going to benefit you a lot more than your financial advisor.
I love it. I love it, Daniel. Dude, you're an amazing human being. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being here and keep doing the great work that you're doing. I'm excited to be growing together, impacting people's lives, serving people's lives. You're literally changing people's destinies, like giving them the vehicle, the door, the permission to go after their greatest dreams, man. So thank you for what you do.
Hey, thank you. We actually just got a testimonial last week from a lady. She used the solo 401k to start a school, like a small private school. And that really hit home for all of us because she's got like 12 kids. So it's like, man, that's a ripple effect, right? We changed her life, but then she's changing these kids' lives as well. So thank you for having me on, and we look forward to impacting more and more people.
Boom. I love it. Thank you, Daniel. We'll see you soon, okay?
All right, brother. Have a good one. Thank you.